are very close to the 2024 NFL Draft. Literally, 9 days away? So we're going to do a mock draft today. I'll do one last mock draft next week. Then we can get to the real thing. Again, before we get into this video, we're going to be live at the Soaring Eagle Casino. Come join, man. You're going to have myself, Everything King, Dose of Dion, Herman Moore, Speak Easy, and Spenmo Rax, those guys from Woodward Sports. It's going to be an epic time. Come in and hang out. So this is our draft pick so far for the NFL Draft. And we got pick 29, 61, 73, 92, 162, 206, and 246. No pick in round 4. In this mock draft, I did it through the simulator, the PFF simulator, did it about 5 times, and I went with the average player at that position, so we're not just picking good players. There's going to be no trades in this mock draft. Next week, we will do a trade. And with pick 29, the Detroit Lions select Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback from Alabama. Lions need help in the secondary. Kool-Aid, pre-draft visit, Alabama, 6'1", very good contested catches, and Lions got a significant need at that position at cornerback. This is what the Detroit Lions would love to have, I think, at pick 29. It would be Kool-Aid McKinstry or Darius Robinson. I think, if one of those guys are there, that's who the Lions pick. Or if somehow another corner falls to the Lions at 29 like a Nate Wiggs you don't expect. But I think Kool-Aid is the perfect player for the Detroit Lions. 24 solo tackles, 32 total, 7 pass defense, 0 interceptions. Those numbers are not the greatest numbers in the world, but Kool-Aid is a good player from Alabama, and he's going to be a good player in the National Football League, and I think he would be a solid addition to the Lions at pick 29. I think he will be there very close. It's going to be very close if he'll be there or not within a couple picks. Question for you, should the Detroit Lions go defense in round 1? Y for yes and N for no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Let's go ahead and get into the next pick. Now, this one was really difficult for me. I kept going back and forth. What should the Lions do here? And I decided to go a different route than I usually do, taking wide receiver Xavier Legette out of South Carolina. He's a big wide receiver. I think he would fit that Josh Reynolds mold, 6'1", 221. He's fast as well, 4.39. You do see what he did this past season. He's got 71 receptions for 1,255 yards, 7 touchdowns, an average of 17.7. I think if the Lions have an opportunity to upgrade that wide receiver position, you could do it in round 2 and or round 3. We got 2 selections there. But I just thought Legette is a nice value at 61, and man, if he's sitting there, why not take him? Why not upgrade that position? You could go guard, you could go tackle at this spot, but I just wanted to make sure that we get this wide receiver position fixed. I think this is a great draft so far right now. You get Kool-Aid, you get a wide receiver here in Legette. That's a good option, but we're not done. We really need help at multiple parts of this football team. One of the positions I really wanted the Detroit Lions to upgrade is going edge. And so that's what they do here with the third pick. Pick 73, Marshawn Kneeland out of Western Michigan. And he's rising a little bit right now. And he's a smaller school. It's not the biggest school in the world, but he has connections to Detroit. Obviously, he's from Grand Rapids, literally 30 minutes from me. He is a player whom I think the Detroit Lions can have and absolutely dominate at some points. Again, he's be a player that's situational a little bit, and he's a little versatile as well. That's something that's good for the Detroit Lions. They love versatility. 29 solo tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 4.5 sacks, a total of 57. The numbers are not there when it comes to the sacks, but you're banking on this coaching staff ability to get the best out of Kneeland, and I think they can. And, man, I think it would be a solid pick for the Detroit Lions in round 3. I do, because we need to get corner, we need to get edge, and wide receiver. Those positions are fixed from this mock draft. That would be a nice option for the Detroit Lions. I would like to see the Lions somehow in the first couple picks edge, corner, and, wide receivers probably not the biggest need, but those two positions definitely got to get better there. And we're going to go with another pick here, round 5. We're going into, and I want to get better at the interior of the defensive line. So at 164, we're going to go ahead and get Justin Eboigbe. I destroyed his name, the defensive tackle from Alabama. Obviously, the connections with Alabama and our coaching staff is immense, and we need to get better on the interior of the defensive line. The 6'4", 297 product, he's exactly that. Right? He's a player that's going to be rushing the passer. He's going to come after him in the middle, not necessarily the run stuffer, but we got DJ Reader for that. You get J.E. on this interior defensive line. I think the Detroit Lions are going to be much improved defensively, and they're able to make much more of an impact by getting to the quarterback. 29 solo tackles, 63 total, 7 sacks, 0 forced fumbles. This is a player whom the Lions could utilize with Lee McNeil, have him coming in on packages, especially on third downs, too, to get after that quarterback and solve the inability for the Detroit Lions to get to the quarterback. And that's what we have to do, right? We have to get to the quarterback. So, again, we look at this, what the Lions want to do in this draft, and I think that the Lions should be doubling up on the defensive line. And that's a question for you right now. Should the Lions double up on the defensive line? Y for yes and N for no. Give me your thoughts in the comments below. Now we're going to go with in round 6 here, and I wanted to get a player that has been mocked to the Lions. It's also a position that they would like to upgrade. And I'm going to go safety here, Sione Vaki from Utah. I think this would be a good spot for him in round 6 for what he brings. And the 5'11", 210-pound safety, he's a guy that can develop a little bit slowly because you already got good safeties. He doesn't have to be in there immediately, and I think that's the most important part when you look at what he does, because he's got a lot of development he's got to do. 37 total tackles, 1 interception, 2 pass defense. He needs to develop, and under the Detroit Lions regime, what makes it really good for our football team here is he doesn't necessarily have to be on the field right away. And that is big for the Detroit Lions, but he can develop, and I think he's a good player. I think he'd fit well with our system, and he'd be the good number 4 safety for our beloved Detroit Lions. We got another pick here in round 6, and I wanted to get a little bit better on a position that I feel like that we don't have a whole lot of depth in. And I think if we got the depth here, it's going to be good for the long haul of the Detroit Lions this year and going forward. And so I want to go offensive tackle here, Christian Jones out of Texas. I really thought it was important to get another tackle in here because to get Dan Skipper, that's the alternate. Matt Nelson is gone. So why not we get a big tackle here, 6'6", 321. And if there is an injury, if we do need somebody to come in out of pinch, I would like Christian Jones to do that. We got Sorsdale last year for a developmental interior. Now, we'll see how that goes. There was some questions from last year of what he did, but now we can get a tackle, an opposite of Mr. Skip, to come in and help out. Because, look, if we have injuries to the offensive line, folks, it's extremely important that the Detroit Lions don't fall off a cliff. We cannot have that happen. The offensive line is extremely important. Depth at that position is hard to come by. So that's why I went with the selection right here. And I think it's important that the Detroit Lions do look at this offensive line, not necessarily have to go early in the draft, but you can get a guy later in the draft to develop. So I'm going to ask the question like I did before. Should the Lions double up on the defensive line in the draft? Y for yes and N for no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Talking about doubling up, and I think not necessarily doubling up on one position here, but for my last pick, I went in a different route. Now, we've been doing a lot of kickers in my final pick. I'm not doing that because of Jake Betts. I think that the Lions probably end up signing him, so I don't go kicker, and I'm going to go a developmental player here. And I'm going to go ahead and select Hunter Norzad, center from Penn State. Yes, a center. Graham Glasgow here for 3 years. Get a developmental center. He could play guard as well. If there's injuries, we're good upon this offensive line, at least from the depth. Sorsdale, then you get Norzad, and you get Jones. The Lions' offensive line got some depth pieces that can help out in a pinch. And then next year, we probably really could look towards building some of these positions back up on the offensive line. Maybe Norzad be a good replacement, right, for Frank Ragnow if he ends up retiring. We can that'll be a developmental spot, but if not, the Lions in next year's draft could go that route for sure. Look, this draft is something that I had a really tough time trying to pick some of these players, and I try to do what I think the Lions are going to do, and it's really difficult because it's hard to get the idea of what Brad Holmes is going to do. So in the comment section right now, go ahead and grade this mock draft, A, B, C, D, or F. You can blow it up. You can destroy it. You can punch it in the face. You can say it's a really good, as we're getting close to the draft, we get to really see what the Lions going to do. So these are the options for the Detroit Lions to upgrade this roster, and I think the Lions will have a great opportunity to do that here in about 9 days. Again, we're going to be at the Soaring Eagle Casino. Make sure you show up, folks. It's going to be a real fun time. Show up, hang out, sign some autographs, take some pictures with some players, all that lovely stuff, and get some merch. Come on down for the draft. With that said, folks, adios.